So we're rolling, we're live with Orit Arfa, the Jewish Journal Singles columnist and author of a new book on the test that women give men. And I can't even bring myself to say the full title.
You want me to say it for you, Luke?
Yes, please.
It's called... warning, it's a PG-13 title. It uses the S word. It is called Survival of the Shittest.
Hey.
And it's a play on the words, obviously, of survival of the fittest.
Right.
And survival of... I'll say it once, and then, for the sake of your readers who, may be sensitive to profanity, I'll just nickname it the S test. So it's a play on the words of survival of the fittest and survival of the shit test. Now, S test.
And Orit has a new website, manch.net. How do you spell manch? And what is a manch?
M-A-N-S-C-H. And there's a very lengthy definition of what is a manch on the homepage. And basically, it's a man who exhibits the qualities of manliness that women find attractive, like confidence and passion and talent, humor, strength, mental and physical strength, but who also doesn't sacrifice on the menschly qualities, the good guy, the being sensitive to women, knowing how to treat women, being respectful and not being like a player. So there you go. It's the mixture of a manch and a mensch.
When did you come up with that?
I don't know. I was kind of playing around with titles, and it's a problem. I know it's a problem that women have. I mean, it's already known that women want the guy who's strong but sensitive. I mean, it's an age-old problem, and I think that's just the word that describes it. Manch. You want a mensch and a man. That's what women want.
Do you prefer a man who's more manly or menschy?
Well, some, pickup artists teach, and that's kind of like where this site was inspired by, this whole pickup artist community. They teach, and I think they're right, and I think it applies to me. I have yet to have a mensch who lacks of the mensch sweep me off my feet, but they want a man who's first and foremost a man, but also a mensch. So once you're a mensch and you have like moments of manliness, it doesn't cut it for most women, and most of the time it doesn't cut it for me. Really there should be an equal balance, but I think when you sacrifice on the man part, I think women will feel attracted to the guy. The attraction won't fade. She may get hurt by him more, but I know a lot of women who just can't sacrifice on that attraction, and they'll risk getting hurt to feel those butterflies, to feel like that feeling of being in love. We're women, we thrive on that. We thrive on that drama, but sometimes we thrive on it to our expense because, we get kind of played around by men who aren't a mensch.
I associate Jewish men more with being mensches and Gentiles with being men.
Do you associate?
Yeah.
You associate it.
Yeah.
Sad to say, I think that is often the case. I've tried to figure out what that comes from, but it probably comes from like the Jewish focus on intellectualism, on study, on being in a yeshiva over the books rather than being out at sports games and kind of getting that manly energy of like, let's win and let's be victorious and let's go after what we want, and we want to be nice. Jews, we're the light into the nations. We cannot hurt anyone. So, and I think that plays into Jewish men and how and their outlook in relationships with women and how they treat women. When I've dated and I think about what a manch is, like I've often had to look back on the more non-Jewish boyfriends who, for some reason, get kind of this education on how to treat women on dates and how to court a woman, with both kind of the manliness and the menschliness. So, hopefully for a little revolution here to prevent intermarriage.
You're doing a mitzvah.
I am.
I remember this Gentile woman I knew who converted to Judaism, and she was cute. And she said something very funny. She said, Jewish men don't know their level.
What does she mean by that?
I thought that was brilliant. She said, all these ugly men would come up and try to pick me up.
Yeah.
Because their mothers had raised them to believe that they could become president of the United States. They didn't know their level.
interesting.
I thought, wow, that's an interesting comment.
You know, it's also interesting to think. I'm kind of waiting for the man who's going to write the woman. You know how men perceive Jewish women, because I've heard complaints on that end too.
You've heard complaints about Jewish women by Jewish men?
You haven't?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
you're
sorry,
being
I'm
sarcastic there. Yeah. So it'd be interesting what the other side has to say. You know, about we're too high maintenance, we're too jappy, we're too spoiled, whatever it is, we're too smart. You know, but you know that also comes with like we need the man to step up. So that we Jewish women, who I think are generally more you know, I know it's a big generalization, but also kind of, you know, get that intellectualism and that achieving sense. So we can just kind of feel more relaxed as women and a little more passive, not in a negative way, but like more of the receiver, more of those classic feminine qualities of being graceful and receiving and, you know, taking like what the man gives, the man as a provider gives. And I'm not only talking about money, I'm talking about protection and security and like the feeling of just being like a real princess, you know, not a jappy princess, but, you know, someone who's really special as a woman.
Did you go through a Gentile phase? Where you wanted to date non-Jewish men because you were so sick of Jewish
I'm thinking about it now. You know, I lived in Israel for a long time, and I think for about 10 years. So I think Israel has a lot of the man qualities, but a lot of Israeli men, they serve in the army, and they have a little kind of like machismo and chauvinism that, you know, turns off a lot of women. But I know a lot of women who go to Israel and just feel like, wow, these men are so sexy, and there's like sex in the air in Israel, especially like in this, you know, Tel Aviv and the secular cities, you know, there's like a certain sensuality there that you don't have here. So I think I was more into not going for Gentiles, but more in my Israeli man phase.
I think you read a column about it.
I did, but you know, I don't want to generalize because there are, you know, great Israeli men, but I found that a lot of them had a lot of the man, but didn't have a lot of the mensch, you know, because of the army and because they're much more comfortable in their bodies there and in their sexuality there, you know, like here, you know, it's not common, let's say, for Jews to have a pastime of going to a bar, you know, where you kind of test out your sexuality, you test out your relationships with women, starting with women and flirting. And in Israel, you know, you go to a city like Tel Aviv and I'm talking about the secular crowd, it's commonplace, you know, the men are going to bars and they're going out, they're dancing, they're, you know, and it's not an anomaly, it's part of life there.
Is there a significant difference between